All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Oh, I'm seeing some awesome friends already in here. Look at Jennifer Mitchell. She was an early, I don't even know what to call it. She was on time. All right. There we go. Welcome, everyone. Excited to see you coming in. All right. It's great. We have our chat open right now. And Heather, if you want to choose to everyone, we can
I'm
get.
sorry. I just
Yeah,
see that.
that's all right. That way they
Yeah, don't have that option.
This is great.
This
All
is
right,
awesome.
that's okay. All right. I'm gonna try to give some folks some access here, and hopefully you'll be able to get connected. I would love to see everyone on the attendee side. If you guys are able to respond in here, we'd love to see it. Let's hope that everybody can respond. Let's see. There we go. Let me know if everybody can chat now. You should have access. Yay! I'm seeing friends respond. Good job. Here we go. This is great. Hey, Craig. All right. We're seeing a lot of good friends here. As you're coming in, I see that we already have people sharing where they're coming from. We'd love to know where you're coming from. This will be great tonight. We're going to have just fun. That's the goal for tonight. At the end, if you had fun, we were successful because we all need a little fun, especially for those of us going back into the classroom very soon. We need to have a little bit of fun. Rochelle started the fun hours ago. We're catching up with her now. All right. Italy, Canada, Mexico. That's awesome. Welcome, everyone. Vermont, Maine. Great.
Did you see Italy?
I did.
It's like 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the morning.
Sonia, that's commitment. Unless you're like in a place like Italy, Texas or something, you never know. There's Paris, Texas, so that gets interesting. I heard somebody one time when I first moved to Texas, somebody told me they were going to Paris for the summer. I was like, wow, I was so excited. And she was like, Paris, Texas. Like she was annoyed by me saying that. I had no idea there was a Paris, Texas, but there is.
There's
All right.
also a New York, Texas, and
No kidding.
the only thing that exists there is a little house that sells cheesecakes and zip lines.
Really?
Yes, because my kids are like, I zip lined in New York, and I was like, that's incredible. And then they were showing pictures. I was like, that's in the woods.
That's right. That's right. All right. Well, we are going to go ahead and get started because we're going to cover so much in an hour. I mean, we have it down to the minute, really, and I'm just already impeding on this. So I'm going to start screen sharing here for us to get started. All right. Here we go. So as we get started, we're going to go through a ton of content and get you all set up. If you are brand new to CoSpaces, this is perfect for you. If you are a seasoned CoSpaces user, so those veteran CoSpacers, you are going to enjoy this session too because there's some really exciting announcements at the end. I'm really pumped to see this all come to life. So I'm excited to get you guys started. And as we get in here, of course, we want to talk about our panelists. So Heather Brantley is joining us. She actually lives very close to me. We only see each other in events, oddly enough, but we do live fairly close to each other. She was my daughter's math teacher a while back, and she has been rocking and rolling with tons of ed tech stuff. So Heather is going to be sharing, if you notice, Heather Tech Edu is her website, so you can go check that out and see all the cool stuff she's doing. Rochelle is, of course, everybody in here will know Rochelle. Rochelle does everything under the sun. You're talking robotics, AI, AR, VR, coding. What else can I add to this list besides the fact that she's doctor now? So she is She has hit the big time with 5 billion books. She has like every book you can possibly imagine under every topic. So Rochelle is, of course, just doing amazing work in the ag tech space. So to these two ladies, we're just going to have so much fun with y'all. And I'm going to hand it over to them in a moment so they can share their classroom experiences. And if you guys want to share a little bit about yourself, feel free to do that too. All right, so you have a chance to get the immersive newspaper, the Reality Times. We'd love to see what you post. Actually, on all of our names, we have our handles. We'd love for you to tag all of us. So if you can tag us, that would be great. On social media, it is also tag CoSpaces because they'd love to see things you're learning tonight. And then I will follow up with you, and I just definitely tag me because I won't know that it gets posted and then I won't follow up with you. So I want to make sure that I ship you out a newspaper. So I'll just follow up, ask you what address you want this to go to, and then get you one of the Reality Times newspapers with tons of different augmented and virtual reality resources. Here's our agenda for tonight. We're going to be talking about different examples of CoSpaces. This is a really important part because seeing this tool and understanding the tool is one thing, but really having a vision of what you're going to do with the tool, the most important thing, right? Understanding how this is going to be applied. So I'm so excited to have classroom teachers that are actually going to share what this looks like for them in the classroom and how they have been able to practically apply CoSpaces into their lessons. And then we have the basics of, very basic of what is CoSpaces, how do you get started from just day one? And then we're going to look at some live creations. You're going to join us and we're going to play a little bit. And then we're also going to get a sneak peek into some of the latest releases. The cool part about this is CoSpaces was holding off releasing this to anybody until tonight. So I love the fact that they saw the webinar as an opportunity to share it out with you all and to see all the cool things that you are going to take with this and run with it on. We're going to do a Q&A session and we're going to close out from there. So let me first get us started with what is CoSpaces. So this tool is really the first time I ever saw CoSpaces. I saw it for virtual reality. I saw a creation tool for virtual reality. It was not geared towards education yet. It was like almost like a gaming tool, app, website that was created, very much kind of, they were marketing it as a game for kids. And then when I saw it, I was like, this is such a game changer for education because our students can design and build content, but they had not really went into the education space yet. And then to see now where they're at, where you can build augmented reality experiences like you see in the background here, even on the Merge Cube, or you can build virtual reality experiences where somebody's able to go in and see those things both on their screen and 360 and a mobile device or even in a headset. So you have all these crazy, awesome ways of creating and sharing out your experiences. So there's tons of different skills students are working on, including coding. They're also working on designing games and being able to practically apply their lesson content, understanding, and knowledge and put it into a technology that certainly is part of their future, and that is immersive. So seeing how CoSpaces has designed this space for our classrooms, and then also giving teachers access and visibility into what is happening with it with students so that it protects you and others. And then also moving into how this is something that is easily shared by students. They are going to love it. I've never heard anybody say, we got CoSpaces and it was never used. This is that product that you will never, ever hear that. As a matter of fact, these kids go home, they work on it on the weekends, they work on it in the evenings. These kids are designing spaces nonstop. This is like the educational Roblox, if you will, because they love designing and building. So this is a great tool to get your students creating content. And I just absolutely love that. All right, I'm handing it on over to Heather.
Okay, so I am Heather Brantley, and we use CoSpaces in my classroom. And as she was talking about, they use it at home. Guys, when I went in to gather some little clips and things to show for tonight, my kids are still on it at home. over the summer, they're still building and playing and creating their own spaces. So it's not just something that is a quick lesson in the classroom. There are so many different things that they're able to do. The picture here is showing one of my students actually building in CoSpaces. And this picture is on Coding for Climate's main website, their landing page, because my students were able to use CoSpaces to be able to come up with climate solutions during Coding for Climate Month and to share and present on those. The kids, they like that there's that blank space, and it's their voice, it's everything that they want to show. And it's one of those, the products never look the same across the board. So I like for my students to be able to have the opportunity to do that.
All right, I'll move on to the next slide for you.
Okay. All right, so here going it back to this was, I gave them the open opportunity. Some students, they'll go in and create multiple scenes and kind of tell a story or make their own movie. This particular student here, he made it into a one-pager. So you can see where he has his own written content. They're able to go in and make different solutions in and share it. So when you play the videos, and I think if you'll go to the next one, it'll show, I tried to include like some still photos, but really just a photo of what it looked like when we were playing. So we use not only for Coding for Climate, but we use it cross-curricular. So some of the things that my students have done in the past is when we were doing cross-curricular, we started in my classroom. The history teacher was talking about them understanding the difference of what it looked like when they first settled to looking on a map and what it looks like today. So the students created a different scene for each one. So one scene was for the settlement. So it did look different. There was dirt roads, you know, if there was any roads at all. They had ships out there. They had bonfires that they built for their fire. And then whenever they moved into what it looks like today, the students use Google Earth in order to do that. So their scene looked a lot different. So it was really neat to see how they brought in the city, but they had to go do the research to look at that exact location. Well, the ELA teacher came in one day and she goes, "Oh, well, that's interesting. I would like to join in on this project." So she had them go in and do a storyline with that. So then the kids were putting up the little bubbles, having conversations, and writing a story to go with what was happening. The science teacher had just talked about weather patterns. You can bring in the different environments. So they were able to go in and put the weather in. So, and it was really kind of fun because there was a couple of kids had their characters running around in little shorts and it was snowing outside. And I was thinking, so let's think about that. Is that what you would really wear? So it brings up a lot of great fun conversations. Then we did, of course, for the math end with me, there was so many different coding options in there. So the kids were able to go in and code and animate and move their things around.
Hey, I'm sorry, I only see 2 slides for you, Heather, but that is probably an error. Do you mind just describing it?
I'm trying to remember which 2 I sent you now. That's because I watched so many. So, but one of them was about saving the trees. So
Okay.
it started, the first scene that the students created was 2 students just having a conversation about, oh no, we have lost all of our forests and the animals have nowhere to go and they're cutting down more trees. So then it moves into the conversation, well, let's go find someone in the city. So they're protesting where they were cutting down the trees. They bring in the mayor. The solution was to plant more trees. And then they had a celebration and a dance party at the end. So there are some students who animated through their movie scene, like the inside of a house. So they would go from room to room and that was like a different school room. So like that one room was math. So whatever they were learning in math at that time, they put that in there. So there's so many different ways. I know that in my classroom, we have the Merge Cube. So I have some students who choose to develop something on the Merge Cube. Some students do it in just the virtual space. And then there's the 360 view. So we have a headset in my classroom. So a lot of the kids like to create something in the 360 space and then invite other people to come step in and see it. So the options are like whatever you can dream up, you can do. If there's something that they can't find, my students have learned how to upload. They build things in Tinkercad and they're able to upload their own elements to bring into the space. We also, because we work a lot with Legos in my classroom, I believe that you learn through play. So I love to partner students up, and whatever they build on the Lego, like one student built it on the Lego, the other student replicates that in Tinkercad, like brick by brick. What did we do? So they also have the physical in their hands. So there's just a lot of options and fun things that you can do in the classroom. If you are looking for me to share those ideas, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to share it. I'm also happy to collaborate classrooms. So if your classroom is doing something in CoSpaces and they want to present to a class, I'm happy to give that audience for my students to see your students' work.
Heather, what I love about the Legos too is those suckers are expensive. And sometimes you may only have a small set. And so when you're actually saying, okay, you have infinite opportunities inside of CoSpaces within Tinkercad to be able to design and build, because ultimately that's something that they can continuously replicate without needing to purchase the physical. So you have the physical tangible that they're actually connecting the dots with, but to have the digital and having opportunities to expand that you really don't have always in a classroom setting. So that's really awesome. That's cool. How do the kids
Absolutely.
respond to that?
Oh, the kids love it. They come in, they're asking for it. And it's really one of those, like when the project's over, they're like, hold on, what are we doing next? Because like they're ready to do it again. And on the Legos, I just put out a Facebook post on our school website that says, hey parents, because I have junior high kids. If you have Legos laying around, we would love to take them.
Yeah.
So we had a parent actually volunteer to even run them through her dishwasher. So it was like great. So there are ways to get them if your lack of funding is there. A lot of times people have some. So it's just that taking that tangible of what's in front of you, which is where we're, really working with students in the classroom. How can I take what's in front of me and put it in a virtual space that I can share with the world? So the accessibility on sharing is phenomenal within CoSpaces. So you're not just limited to, only those people who have a CoSpace account get to see what my students have done. So I like the fact that CoSpaces is where I can share it with other classrooms and I can collaborate and work with other classrooms. And you don't have to have the student physically in the classroom. Say you have a homebound student or a student even in another school district and you want them to partner pair and build something together. It's not a one space for one student. It's whatever you decide as the teacher that you would like for them to do. And they don't have to be physically in front of you to do it. So, however, I am going to warn with the history, we may have had a student who decided that he wanted to use the word die, 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 die coming from every soldier. And we didn't feel like, okay, that's probably not something we should publish out. So because I had the dashboard, I could kind of look through and see and have conversations with that student. Like, okay, what's another way that we can word that so it's not so aggressive? So CoSpaces does a great job of making it to where it's controlled. Only students that you invite in are in. Only the students that you are giving access, like you have control of what you're handing your students, which is remarkable because they can get on some of these virtual spaces that are very open and they're not protected and anyone can join the chat. And that's one of the things I love about CoSpaces. I know my students are safe and I know that if I'm inviting another classroom in, I'm also giving them a safe place to learn and grow together.
That's so awesome. Thank you, Heather, for sharing your knowledge and ideas. That's very cool. We are going to transition over to Dr. Rochelle, who is out in Pennsylvania. So you have these two totally different places, two totally different classrooms. And Rochelle, do you want to share? You have several slides, so let me know whenever you're ready to transition over to.
I will. Well, thank you. So I've been using CoSpaces for, oh my goodness, a long time. And I remember the first time I used it, it took me forever to create. And I was so excited to bring it into my classroom and the kids were like, we're done. I'm like, what do you mean you're done? They learn so fast. And that's one word of like advice that I give to educators is don't feel like you have to be the expert. You just need to kind of like explore, see what's there, check things out, and then let the kids dive into what, what they want to create. But I used it primarily in my STEAM course, and that class was held within the library makerspace. And good or bad, my students in my Spanish classes were like, hey, why don't we get to do the cool AR, VR stuff? And I had nothing. I just was like stoic. I didn't think about it because I used to say I'm just a whatever teacher. So it happened to be at the end of the year, and I'll show you this on another slide too, but I'm like, what do I have to lose? Dive in. But the nice thing about CoSpaces is if you are thinking, I teach elementary, high school, certain content area, they have so many examples in their gallery to check out. And that's where I start, is not so much a lesson, but hey, take a couple minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever, like what piques your interest, what sparks some curiosity, and let the kids kind of explore. So that's where we dive in. And I know you mentioned, like, I got my merge cube right here. And, there's all of these different ways to use it. And I think that for educators, I have some great stories to share where, I don't know, juniors in high school created projects and shared them with elementary students about a story that they had read. And then these younger second, third grade students were like, oh, what is this? Learning about AR, VR, but creating with purpose. So that's the first thing. So some of these slides I got directly from, and you can go to the next one too, from CoSpaces, but this was such a game changer. And it happened at that point in time where the students said to me, why don't we? And I'm like, I got nothing. And I thought, end of the year, standardized testing, AP testing, you name it. Kids are like worn out, ramping up for final exams. And it just so happened that CoSpaces launched their collaboration feature. So I said to my students, okay, fine. You want to do this. So I got topics. I had what we were working on. I added in some little like tweaks, make it a little challenging. And then I thought, end of the year, if it goes great, awesome. If it doesn't, I have the summer to reflect on it. But the best part about it is like, my goal was learning Spanish, of course, giving them opportunities to learn about these emerging technologies where maybe they wouldn't have had that chance. And then in the process, digital citizenship, because they're collaborating in the same project. And it's like, hey, who moved my spaceship or whatever? Or meanwhile, it was me across the room interfering with their projects because I could do that. But it did a lot more than help them retain the content. Like they learned the vocab, they learned how to narrate the past tense, they built relationships, a lot of those things we talk about, that are essential skills for the future. And then they retained it so much that even the kids that didn't go on to Spanish 3 that were like, I'm done after Spanish 2, they still remembered and they retained it far better than students in prior years, no matter what I had done. So, it was like, okay, it was a risk. I was nervous because what are administrators going to think? What is the learning product? But the thing about it was with my students, I don't know if anybody else has used it, but I don't know what it is about that rocket. Like they all put that in there. And then there are certain characters like the farmer and so forth. But what I did, there are a couple of things that you can do is when I did it with my STEAM students originally, I said, just explore, check out the gallery, see what they have. I didn't know what parkour was. I learned very quickly. But then beyond that, what do you want to create? And I tried to make it a cross-curricular collaboration with some other teachers because I wanted them to create something that was meaningful, purposeful, that they could see the relevance in. And so we did some things with like their science teacher, for example, and they had so many choices. And over the years, from when I started until now, it's been awesome to see all of the different backgrounds and characters and things that you can do with it that really can make it an authentic opportunity for students to learn. But the fun thing, even for teachers who are thinking, yeah, I want to get to know my students, beginning of the year, the template for about me, like it's there, it's set up. Students can keep it as similar as they want, or they can go above and beyond, which mine have done some really scary things in the past, but it's nice that you can boost their creativity, you can see about the relationships, and you can ask them questions like, why did you put this in there? So those are a couple of things. Oh, I love the comment, Heather. Yeah, when teachers take the risk and students rock it. So things that I would share, you can really, we're teachers, we are super creative and flexible. You can do a lot of things with it, even if you're thinking, I'm just like, get rid of the word just. I'm a whatever teacher. And what are you doing? Did the kids read a book? Are they learning about a specific period in history, a person, you name it? And then giving them a chance to apply that learning in this space where they can go in. Like my students, the biggest point of it was when they were able to like look at each other's project, and that repetitiveness, they were like, oh, I remember this. So giving them an option to say, hey, create whatever you want, have fun, because learning is supposed to be fun, but you're building the skills in these essential areas. Maybe you're working as part of a team, anything like that, I think is great. But these are just a few ideas that I tend to share with educators. If you're like, I don't know where to begin, but don't worry, because there are a lot of lessons and activities and examples available. And some fun images from my students. They did a Happy New Year, and I'm pretty sure the farmer was in there dancing. Some of them had like 30 of them, very creepy, but recording their
Hey, hold
voice.
on. Speaking of creepy, tell me this face, these blank faces, where did they get those from? That is creepy. I'm
I
like, this
know.
looks like a scary movie.
Yeah. And you have to, like, when you're watching it over and over, but like the one farmer, it's not in the bottom of the Happy New Year, but
Yeah.
one of the groups, and they graduated 2 years ago. So that's how long I've been doing this. But they had the farmer with the green overalls, and they were all doing the same movement. I couldn't look at it. And then I had a student who all year, no matter what I did in my class, didn't like it, verbally told me, hate this, hate this, hate this. And I got a call on a Monday morning, and I've told this story so many times, but the mother said, I don't know what you've been doing in that STEAM class. And I'm like, okay, but the student had spent the entire weekend creating all of these different projects, many of which were parkour, lots that contained scary clowns jumping out, which not a fan, but you never know what's going to spark that one interest. And from an 8th grade student who didn't really like anything on a progressive basis to then dive into this, and over time finally decide they wanted to go into coding and creating things, like, you never know. It's just that quick instant. And so the big thing is providing opportunities for them. And but yeah, he got frustrated with me because he was like, I'll just do I'm like, I don't know how to move parkour. So and I'll just tell you the last thing, and I think this is my last slide, but when I dove into that, they were narrating in past tense, and they had vocab, and I passed out white index note cards, and I said, write down an animal, famous person, music, teacher. I had 5 categories, shuffle them. Apparently that year, 5 of the 6 groups chose Despacito for their song. Actually, 4 of the 6. One picked Feliz Navidad, one just left it blank. I'm like, okay. So then I shuffled them, and they had to incorporate those elements into that project and narrate and sing their like script to that song. So a lot of Despacitos, one Feliz Navidad. And then the group that didn't pick, I gave them a song, and they made it work. But it was fun to see beyond the content that they were, practicing, to see them build relationships, all of those different skills that you want them to. And when we get used to them saying like, oh, I want to work with my friends and all of these things, like mixing it up. It made such a big difference. But I've never, in all of the years I've taught Spanish, especially level 2, seen them retain that content more than when they did this.
That's a good point. When you're doing it, you're owning it. You have to take what your prior knowledge is and apply it to something. But in this case, because it's so open-ended to however they want to present that information, that is, I think, what makes CoSpaces so valuable. There's so many, not just ways for them to design and build, but there's ways for them to actually experience their content. They can do it in augmented reality. They can do it in virtual reality. They can do it on the screen. You know, they're able to share this out with people in a way that shows that immersive element, but it really becomes something that is applied in their own space. So I love the fact that CoSpaces is, obviously, you just saw Heather and Dr. Rochelle share some really cool ways of using CoSpaces. And we're going to give you a chance to get in, because I think that's going to be a really important piece, is for you to have a chance to play. If you haven't already, you're going to be joining my class. Rochelle and Heather will be in there too, so they're going to give some help and support you. And then we're just going to play. But here are the main elements of understanding, just to kind of baseline getting started. The first is you have a library of items that you're going to be able to pull in. If you heard earlier, Heather was talking about making some content in Tinkercad, or even bringing in 3D content that you can load into your space. Those are all possible, but really at a very early entry of getting started, the best way to do this is to use the library items that are in there today. Once you have that item loaded in there, really the next step is just to have it animated. What do you want it to do? Do you want it to be excited? Do you want it to type on a computer? Do you want it to row a boat? Do you want it to go to sleep? You know, really, however you want them to be animated to display the content you're trying to portray. And then the last piece is, how do you want to show this? So are you going to show this to people or your teacher or each other by looking at it in a headset, by having it on your screen, by looking at it in augmented reality on your phone or your tablet? So really, those are the key areas. We're going to do a little bit of play today. We're going to play with the merge cube. You're going to be able to add some content in that merge cube, and then I'm going to show what some of the people have done in the class, which will be fun, and then we will get started. So if you notice that you're like, well, I don't have a merge cube, so that stinks. If you want to scan that QR code with your mobile device, you can go ahead and scan that. It will bring you into the blog with the link to be able to download your own merge cube. That merge cube is something that Merge has made available to everyone. They have that PDF out there for you to go in and kind of have first chance to see it. I personally would recommend it if they're testing it out and you want to see if you like that merge cube. But the time that you spend, one, printing it out and the ink and cartridge and how much all that costs, but by the time you print it out, cut it out, put it all together carefully, and then it's all perfect and great. You hand it to a student and it gets crumbled in a few seconds. So my recommendation is have your students do that. Maybe print this out in draft. Keep in mind, it's not as great of an experience as it is with the actual merge cube, because a merge cube has reflection, as you can see, that you would not have with just paper. So it tracks better with the actual merge cube. But if you want to see if this is good for you and you want to check this out in the future, that's the place to go and get that. Merge also has a PDF out there. If you look it up, you'll be able to find it. So we're going to play. We're going to get in. This was a scene built several years ago. I want to say 2017, when I was uploading my own 360 image when they first released that, and then grabbed that 360 and layered it with some of the augmented reality, added my voice in the background, and then added some of the characters here, kind of making them look like they were in the background. And there's several friends actually inside of that area back there. So I always love that one. We're going to go to CoSpaces.io. So if you want to go, everyone, I'm going to put that in here. CoSpaces.io is our link. So you're going to want to head there, and then we're going to do step-by-step instructions. Now I have two sets of instructions. One for you veteran teachers that already have been using CoSpaces already. Okay. So go ahead and get into your CoSpaces account, for you veteran teachers. Let's get you in. And we are going to walk through step by step what you need to do to join, because you just have a few steps. But then when we have new teachers, we're going to have everybody that's trying this out for the first time. I have instructions for you too. So the first thing we're going to do is get you veteran teachers in. So if you're a veteran teacher, hop on into CoSpaces, authenticate, get in there. All right, once you're in there, go to classes on the left-hand side. You'll want to be in classes. Once you're in classes, choose join classes student. So you'll want to be in your classes because you're going to be joining my class as a student. So once you do that, you're going to choose join classes student, and it's going to bring you from the teacher workspace to the student workspace. So you'll choose to student workspace. Once you do that, you're going to need a code. And here you go. That's your code to join. Once you type in that code, you'll be able to get in and join my class. And you're going to have to pause while I bring the next group through, which is our new teachers to CoSpaces. All right. All right, Craig is ready. He's in. Jennifer's in. Look at all these awesome GT teachers. Okay, so we have new to CoSpaces. If you've never done this before, I'm going to walk you through the simplest way of getting into my class without ever having to really create an account or authenticate with your email. So we're going to go through it pretty simply. Oop. I'm not sure why that's not popping up, but it should be. The background should be the screen for the login page. So when you first go to CoSpaces.io, for whatever reason, that image is missing, but up in the top right corner, you're going to choose sign up. So sign up is where you're going to go. Julie, no worries. I'll give you a code in just a moment. So you'll choose sign up in the top right corner. Once you choose sign up, you're going to see this screen to say either you're coming in as a student or as a teacher. And in this case, you're coming in as a student because you're going to be in my class as a student. So go ahead and choose student. Here's your code, Julie. So for everyone, I'll type this in here just in case we have a problem with getting you in. That is my class code for this classroom. You'll choose continue. Once you have the code, it's going to want to ask, who are you? So you're going to have to go through the process of creating your account. Don't do Apple, don't do Google, don't do Microsoft. You're not going to authenticate through any of those places, because when you start your official CoSpaces account, you want to use one of those to get you started. In this case, we're going to have you only do your name, create some sort of username for my class, and create a password. You don't have to authenticate you don't have to put in your email address, nothing. So you're hopping in with just a name, giving a username and a password. You can't have a space in your username or password, which is the mistake I made, and it won't let you in. And there are some restrictions on your password. It will let you know if you run into that. All right, name, username, and password. All right, it's going to ask you to download the app, and you're welcome to in the background if you'd like, but you're going to go ahead and just close that out. Right, Julie's in, perfect. All right, so you're going to be joining in my class called Back to School 2024. Yay! We had a Back to School 2023 too, so this is great. We're joining in. All right, once you join in, you're now going to have a chance to go to an assignment. Right now, you're going to say, Jamie, I don't have any assignments yet. And that is accurate because I haven't created one. So I want to demo that for you for the teacher side so that you can see firsthand what that looks like. So I'm going to go into CoSpaces, and it's going to have me authenticate again. No worries. Oh, it's going to load me right in. Perfect. Once I get into CoSpaces, I'm going to go into that classroom. So I'm going to go to classes on the left-hand side for me as a teacher. And then I'm going to go into my back to school 2024. Right now, there are no assignments that I've given you. I can look at all my students though. What students do I have in here? There we go. We got quite a few of you in there. So as you're joining in, you're going to have a chance to play with us firsthand. If you have not signed in and you're just kind of observing and watching, that's totally fine too. But you certainly walk away having a lot more awareness and understanding about CoSpaces when you test this out yourself. So if you wanted to join in, feel free to use that code to get started. All right, so I'm going to come back over here to assignments, and I'm actually, as the teacher, going to create an assignment. And I am going to give you a 3D environment to start off. Fun. Let's understand CoSpaces. So it was funny, Rochelle was talking about always that farmer or the rocket. Like, I don't know why I always have the Grinch on, like Grinch always shows up every single time. So I wouldn't doubt that the Grinch is not going to show up in our class lesson right now. There we go. So I'm going to say continue. Now, here's what I have the option of doing. If you've ever done Google Docs where you can assign one assignment to your whole class, but they all get an individual assignment, that's what this means. Everybody gets their own individual page. But just to, make this a little wild and crazy, we're going to have us do a group of students. We're throwing us all into one spot. And it's going to be like everybody going into Google Docs at one time and everybody's messing up each other's work and all that good stuff. And that's okay. It's a little crazy. Just imagine that in 3D though. It's going to be even crazier. But the key here is that you're going to be able to see what other people are doing in this space, and it's going to inspire you to do some new things. I can 100% guarantee I know what object is going to be loaded in this space. It's going to be a cat. 100% it will be a cat. Rochelle is 100% going to add a cat. I can guarantee it. Okay, so here we go. Craig is first on our list. I'm going to have everybody in my class join in group 1. So I could split you up. I could do a bunch of different groups of 2 if I wanted to. I can do a group of 5s if I wanted to. But what I'm going to do is I am just putting everybody in one space so we can see how crazy this will look as you guys are creating. Now, it does have the name for me. Gives you a little avatar. Whoop, sorry, Z. And then it gives you some avatar as your representative of your space. So I right now have an empty space because I put no students in there. As a teacher, I can now click on this space and see everybody now assigned to this assignment. You should now see that that assignment has been made and you can hop in and this is your experience. Look at that. I am not surprised. So here we go. If you want to navigate around, know that this right here is a camera. That camera, I'm going to go ahead and just lock it and play. Oh, somebody moved it. Son of a gun. That's okay. I'm going to move this camera unless it's now locked in place. Yes, it is. That's fine. This camera, let me try to move it here. I'm going to lock it in place just so you get the point of what it means. It means on entry, whatever viewer is viewing the space that you've created, this is the view that they're going to see. It's like that's their camera view. They're going to walk into this and that's going to be pointed in that direction. So the first thing it's going to see is this right here and this right here. So, and then as you turn around. Now, if you want to look around from left to right, click somewhere on the ground and then hold it and drag to the left or drag to the right. And then if you want to lift up, that gives you a different view, down, different view. So I'm just clicking and holding, left click and hold, okay? Now you also have your arrows on your keyboard if you're on your computer that give you some ways of navigating the space a little bit. You also have your, there we go. We already have our cat. I'm sure this cat is animated. I can pretty much guarantee it. So Rochelle already brought in the cat. We have a chicken. Look at you guys just brought in the whole farm. Like we're just bringing all these animals in. Of course, the Grinch, no doubt. So we're already thinking about Christmas in August. You're probably already thinking about Christmas break in August. That's crazy. All right. So you can design and build whatever you want, any type of storyline that you can possibly imagine. My nephews, they recreate Star Wars every single time, like every scene you can think of from Star Wars. And they can't find the characters, so they go and build it in Tinkercad and then bring in those characters. So it's really cool just to see the things that you can do inside of CoSpaces, but they love designing those scenes. All right. So you all are building right now. For you newcomers, if you're saying, hey, how do I build in here? The first thing you're going to do down at the bottom is go to library, down at the bottom left of your screen. If you're on a mobile device, you tap it, and then you would drag and drop any object. So I'm going to go ahead and drag and drop this guy right here. And I'm actually going to make this character larger. Okay. So right here, lets me lift him up in the sky. But I don't really want him lifted up in the sky. I actually want to make him a larger character. Okay. So I'm going to move this character around. I can click and drag, move around. And then I can rotate my character by clicking here at the bottom. There we go. All right, I want to animate my character now. So I'm going to, and my character is like really right next to that camera. So I'm going to move my character in a better spot that he can be seen. So I'm going to right click my character and I'm going to choose animation. If you're on a tablet, you double tap your character and then you choose animation. I'm going to make this character, let's see, I don't want to do postures. I'm going to do actions. What would be fun? Let's skip. And there we go. It gives me a little bit of a preview of this. The moment I click on here, you're going to notice that my preview is gone. That animation's gone. It's only because we're in editing mode right now. Once you go into play mode, you'll see those animations continue on. So here we are. I'm a zebra and I love being black and white. Awesome. All right, looks like the zebra's butt is on fire right now. From my perspective, clearly not. Oh, there we go. Yeah, that's fire. Okay, so I'm going to come up here and choose play. Now remember, I have camera view right now. So I can use my arrows, navigate around the space. There's my purple cat from Rochelle and my character skipping. And then here we have, let's have a dance party. Of course, the Grinch, look at him being mischievous that he showed up. And then we have our Christmas presents. So here we go. Now this probably can be rotated and we'll talk a little bit about what that looks like. If I go back, now I can go back to editing. So I went to viewing mode, now I'm in editing mode, okay? So let's say I wanted this object to actually rotate. So or move of any way that I want. So a rocket shooting off in the sky, whatever you want. I am going to right click or double tap on a tablet. I'm going to right click and I'm going to choose code. And I'm actually going to make sure that it is available in CoBlocks. Looks like somebody's already working on that. So I would have to turn it on and then come up to code up at the top right corner. Look, somebody is very smart in this group. They've already started. Who is that? Say it in the chat. You guys take some pride here. So when you push play, that object, Mars, is going to go left, forward, the velocity of 90. So you can see some of the things already in place here of some of the things that are going to happen. We have a scooter that's happening, some wheels turning. We have Mars changing clockwise 180 degrees in 60 seconds. So you can see all this kind of taking place, all using CoBlocks over here. Very simple, fun way of learning code. Simple. All right. So now when I push play, let's see what happens. I'm curious. Whoa, whoa. Holy moly. Whoa. Mars is really going. Wow. Elon welcomes us. Awesome. That's great. Okay. So you guys did a great job. If you're getting it now, you have all these characters here. We have some actions taking place with basic animation. We have some of the objects now moving in here because of the coding, and I can view that by pushing play. Now I can also view this scene by experiencing it on my mobile device. Okay, so I'm actually going to go into CoSpaces, and then I'm going to screen share. Now this could be tricky right now because it wants to screen share to certain scenes. Let me stop sharing. Okay, I'm going to stop screen sharing here, and then I'm actually going to share my mobile device. So give me one sec. All right.
Okay, while Jamie's doing that, I'm just going to add that one of my favorite parts about this is students go like, all right, who's Santa Claus and how did you get the sleigh to stay with them? So it starts a lot of conversations when they're all in one room exploring and playing together. Allow your students that freedom to make mistakes and figure it out. Problem solving, a lot of times they'll come to me and they're like, well, how do I do this? I'm like, well, how do you think it's done? So instead of giving them direct answers, have them go explore and play. Like, what action is happening? Would that be an animation or do you think that's a coding? So have conversations with your kids, but the best thing that I've learned to do is go, I don't know, let's learn that together. And even if I do know, I'm not sharing that. Let the kids play with curiosity on this. That to me makes it the most fun and more relevant to them.
Yeah. And as I'm pulling this up here, I'm going to be sharing my screen here in a moment. Let's see. Let's see where my mobile device is. There it is. Let me play. It's working on it. It's trying. All right. Can you see that right now, girls? Possibly not.
I saw
All
your
right.
phone.
Were you
I saw your
there?
phone.
Oh, okay. Let me try that again. All right. Once it shows it, I'll show you kind of the scene of which we're able to see. And let's see, it's just taking a second because I keep stopping it and starting AirPlay with my Apple devices. For those of you that don't have Apple devices, the beauty of this is that my mobile device can connect to my computer. It's great.
Okay, it's up now. You're good.
Awesome. Okay, so here is my screen that I have, and you can see the different scenes that I've made. I can go over here to different CoSpaces that have been built. This particular one is my teacher workspace. I think this might be a different account. I think this is the one that I used, Heather, with oh, here we go. Fun. Here you all are. This is your space. This is what you've designed and built. So here's my mobile device that I can see everything going crazy. I see fireworks. Wow, everything. When I go to play, I can actually view in all these different ways through my mobile device and different activities that I can see like view in AR. So here we go. Let's go ahead and place this down here. That looks pretty good. And now look at this. I can see all of you and your spaces and your crazy cats and Elon Musk, all of it. And it's just going great over here, okay? So then I can switch it over to VR mode as well, and it will go into split screen mode to put it into a viewer. I can actually look at it just by rotating around my own device and turning my screen and seeing it from there as well. So this gives us a lot of opportunities to actually see how we can design and build and experience what we've designed and created. So very, very cool. With that, I am going to pause because I know we're really close and I want to share some cool stuff with you guys and what's coming up next. So give me 1 second and we'll get back to our presentation. All right. We are so close to being done. And for those of you that might have to get to work, on other projects. I want to keep everybody on track here. So very good job in creating a design tonight. Now we're going to focus in, for those of you that are veteran teachers in CoSpaces, on some really cool new releases that they are working on. Even some, keep in mind. So keep in mind, there might be future webinars. There is a big announcement coming that has not been made. So, and it won't be made tonight. So I can imagine that you all are going to want to check out future webinars. Rochelle does them all the time. Michael Furcano has one coming up, and he does them all the time with CoSpaces. So some really good stuff coming out. All right. The first one is, am I frozen? No? Okay, good. The first one is the immersive experience through Immersive Reader from Microsoft. So this is a tool if you are a user of the Merge Cube, and you know about Merge products. They had Immersive Reader implemented, and it was a big change in how you use a product. It allows it to be changed for whatever language package that you can possibly dream up. It allows it to be color changes, background color changes, aligning your text well, having multiple languages. You have even visuals to show what a word would mean, and making connections for students that make it super accessible. So in my opinion, the Immersive Reader should be in every EdTech product. It really does some crazy, awesome things inside of immersive spaces. And that is a key, is making this accessible for all of our students. So that is the next release that will be coming out, the Immersive Reader, and that is going to be integrated into CoSpaces. All right, second announcement is longer trials. So instead of our typical 30-day trials that are available with 100 seats, we are now moving into an era of 45-day trials. I love this because really most people get started with this and they may not even realize what they have access to until possibly towards the end of those 45 days. It gives you so much time to get in those projects and activities for the year. And it also allows you to say, is this something that our school needs to purchase? Is this something we really can't live without? Something that would, if we lost this account here, this would be really hard on our students. This really validates to your school too, usage of the product, and is this something you're willing to invest into? So I love the 45-day trials, and it is really awesome that you are going to have access to this, because what happened in the past is you had to have a code, but now there is no more need for a code. You're able to immediately get that 45-day trial just by signing up. So really, really cool. All right, third update is you could test CoSpaces without having to log in. You can go into CoSpaces at any time and start designing and building right inside the space. So what's really cool about this is that if you don't have an account anymore, you want your students to design and build, maybe it's not something you're able to share, because of course this is just like a page that you're building in, but not necessarily sharing it out with other people. You can't take it and support it in your own platform. It would have to be in your own account to design and build this stuff. But if you're wanting your students to design and build, but you don't necessarily have the dependency of them having to save their work and work on it later, or whatever that might be, if you have an activity that you're doing in that class that day, that would actually be a really cool way of using CoSpaces, and you don't have to pay for it. That's ultimately what it is. If you're wanting to see the practical use of a tool like this, this is a perfect way to get your students started. So you're not having to get everybody logged in. You're kind of giving them the experience like we did tonight, giving you an experience of seeing that process of what is CoSpaces, what is it capable of doing, without having to get everybody in. But, you know, should you love it and want to actually experience this on a regular basis, you'll want to check out that trial, because that would be the perfect time. Your students now already know the tool, and you're not wasting any of your trial days with getting them familiar. All right, last big update. There is now a AI component in here, and it's their botany object replication, if you will. So what it's doing is it's actually taking, like if you want to have a bunch of flowers in your scene, you are able to expand that just by dragging it out. So it actually looks kind of like if you have played with Canva at all and you're expanding your image into using AI, this is the same kind of concept, but you're actually doing it with like forest items like trees and brush and flowers and things of that sort, so that you're kind of expanding out your scene much larger rather than having to put flower by flower by flower by flower and so on. So this gives you kind of an expansion of these environments without necessarily having to replicate all of it over and over. So all of these things are released. My understanding is that they are all coming within the next few days, if not already available tonight. So I would definitely check it out. These are going to be some cool new features and items that they're moving in the future with, and I am excited to see how CoSpaces is staying current and active and what is coming in the classroom. So we have some time for Q&A. I think really at this point it's 8:01 on my end, so we are really out of time, but we are all available. If you wanted to connect with us, we'd be happy to connect. Feel free to follow us on social media. I will do my very best to respond as quickly as I can. This is recorded, so we want to make this available to everybody that registered and get that out to everyone. And hopefully you're able to get the questions answered that you might have, or ideas, sharing out those ideas. We would love to share them. And again, just a reminder about my site, arvrandedu.com. If you're interested in learning more, you can check that out with a bunch of other blogs. And then, of course, a reminder about the newspaper. Don't forget to tag us in this. We'd love to see what you learned tonight, some ideas that you're going to take with that. And then to end, thank you all so much for joining us tonight for lots of CoSpaces fun. Thank you all. I've lost my chat, but I know you all are there. Have an awesome night. Thank you again for joining us, and we will talk soon. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.